Are you marketing on YouTube, Facebook, other channels that allow video or audio content? And are you looking for a way to generate more organic traffic and, of course, leads from this content? I'm Justin Hitt with Ad Briefing's Copywriting Tips. So, whether you're doing this for yourself or clients, it's very powerful to be able to interconnect your content and telegraph the value of what you're delivering. Also, the context and relevance of your content in relationship to other content on the internet. Let me share why. First off, when your content is out there all alone, standing in the middle of nowhere, when Google or any other search engine finds it, it doesn't have the context to keep people on a site or to recommend your content when appropriate to a visitor. What do I mean by context? Well, the links in hypertext markup language, that's what HTML means. That's the language behind what you see on the internet. I know a lot of people today are editing in editors where they don't really see the code, but the code itself is a language that helps search engines, helps natural language systems, helps other contextual references, search tools on individual websites, helps them recommend content. So let me give you an example. You may know about content hubs. Content hub is a central outline, and I'm simplifying this just so it's easy to follow, but a central outline that points to deeper references into that same set of content. Now, a content hub on your website is going to help tell the search engines that your website is about a certain topic and telegraph to that search engine what other elements are related to that topic. Now, you may not have written 40 pieces of content, 400 pieces of content, or any content at all, but you want to convey to the search engines, especially for a new website, that your website is relevant to a specific topic. And so what we've discovered over the years is that you can point to related high quality content. Now I know a lot of people are worried about backlinks. A lot of people are worried about whether or not their pages are recommended or whether or not they've got a top ranking on the search engine. I don't care about any of that. I focus on a library method or a curation method of presenting content to your readers and subscribers to position yourself as an expert. Experts recommend expert advice. Experts know credible sources. So if you want to be linked by other people, be a credible source. And you be a credible source by organizing information. So does your YouTube video description reference other videos in your catalog and that are also relevant to your content, whether somebody else published them? Are you just following popular videos, or are you placing popular videos in the context of your subscriber? This is very important stuff because a big mistake people make these days is they go around chasing what's popular. They chase popular keywords, they chase popular memes, they chase popular news ideas, and they never really connect with a buyer of their product or service. They create content and they try to be edgy and interesting. I see this a lot with the videographers. They'll record hours and hours of content and then chop it down to like a YouTube short or a Facebook reel. They'll even worse. People sit down without an outline or a core concept that they want to cover in their content. They'll cover this, then that, then this, then that, and really never get to a key point. Finally, what they'll do is they'll just throw content up there and see what happens and then wish for the best. Now, I've written about content marketing in the past. We've developed a system for organizing YouTube content, actually optimizing and organizing YouTube content. We've developed systems for syndicating content. We've helped our subscribers generate hundreds of thousands of basically subscribers, or my clients. We help them create more subscribers, but those subscribers have little or no value if they're not becoming customers. So more importantly, I've helped clients create hundreds of millions of dollars in new business by simply identifying who is the audience and then writing every piece of content to that audience. Okay, get them on an email list, send them a prospect newsletter, get them on some kind of autoresponder, create content on your website that specifically speaks to the audience that you're looking for. Second, you want to speak to the audience in the context of their current position with a mindset or a telegraphing of where they want to be. So we're going to meet them where they are and take them by the hand to where they want to be and help them find solutions. So you're going to have content that helps them understand the problems that they have. You're going to have content that offers tools and resources to find a solution. You're going to offer content that specifically asks for the sale. Now, content is not king. A lot of folks will say content is king. Copy is king. Every bit of this content has an attention getting headline, compelling emotional copy, and then ultimately asks the reader to do something. Now, in the case of podcasts, videos, and other things, by mentioning the keywords in the text of your video, yes, you're going to get a little search traffic. But if you have a conversation with someone in your audience and you help them solve real problems, now we're not solving big problems because if I give you too much information in a podcast, you're going to be confused. You won't know where to go next. Or you might believe that you got enough that you can just get started when it really is about developing a plan. Because that plan is brought together when the customer has the context of what you're doing. So we're telegraphing to search engines that these pieces of content are related to each other by linking to the content. Okay, we're not waiting for other people to link to us. We're going to link to the content that's relevant for our visitors that manage to find the page. You can always buy traffic with a pay-per-click campaign to go to a page that has quality materials on it. Number two is we're going to make sure that we're connecting on our other platforms. So if you're on YouTube, you're going to reference between your YouTube videos. But if those same videos are out on Rumble or BitChute or another platform, you're going to contextually reference within their ecosystem. Now, why do we do that? Well, that's because YouTube wants you to stay on YouTube. Rumble wants you to stay on Rumble. But eventually, you got to get these people to jump off those platforms to come to your website in order to become a lead and so they can get information or buy a product that you have. So what you're going to do is these sites will point back to your main site, but within the ecosystem of what they're doing there, you're not going to take somebody off of Rumble and put them on YouTube. There might be a reason they're on Rumble and they don't want to be on YouTube. Vice versa, they might be on YouTube and not want to be on Rumble. The point I'm making is this is where the content syndication matters. So you're going to publish it on YouTube. You might sync it over to Rumble. You might sync it over to BitChute. You might sync it over to Odyssey. You might take the same video and put it native on Facebook on your business page. You might have it across your home page or your website. At each of those locations, you're going to point out inside that ecosystem the relevant materials that establish the recommendations. So if you're watching a video on fermenting turnip greens and radishes, that video is going to point to other videos either in your library or other people that are on the same topic. So we have a topical context. But every one of your videos will also link back to your newsletter in a topical context and even sometimes a topical landing page. So that if I was selling an ebook on fermenting turnips and radishes, everything kind of points back to eventually to the sales letter page for that ebook on turnips and radishes. Now, again, that's a simple example. You could be selling accounting services. You could be selling auditing. You could be selling a technical service like installing computer systems or networking environments. But the context is the same. You don't want to say, hey, here's our last video, and you link to the last video that has nothing to do with this current video. You don't want to say, hey, come to our website and get a free newsletter if the newsletter's context or that landing page context is not strictly relevant to your video itself. Now, within the Content Hub, you could bring all these things back together. So, for example, if I have fermenting turnips and radishes, I might have a Content Hub about growing turnips and radishes, and the bridge between the two is the preservation of those ripe turnips and radishes so that you can enjoy them in the winter. Now, why are we doing this? Well, you may not be aware, but the search engines and a lot of these platforms have done patents in the past, and they're also doing machine learning in the present. And so they have the technology in order to develop contextual mapping. So there's a node-based mapping between your pieces of content. So the pieces of content are nodes, and then there's a little spikes that go in between them. They can measure the relative value and density of that. So that's the rankings, that's the quality measures. So instead of focusing on getting people to link to you, instead of focusing on the top ranking, you want to go ahead and focus on the buyer, the context of that buyer, what is it that they're going to buy? What is it the problem they're facing? And then interlink webs within your ecosystem and then within the ecosystems in which you're feeding your main system. So you have a topical lead funnel on your website. You have content on other platforms linking back to the lead funnel, all in the same context and topic. And then beyond that, you're going to have your pay per click to feed the different layers of that. You may be feeding a subscription on a social media platform because you've had high conversions from that social media platform. You might be feeding content on your own site because you've had high opt ins. The key, though, is removing our prospects from out there into your media and then keeping them in your platform. Now, a real quick example of what this means that illustrates both the advice I'm giving and also how to avoid the mistakes is if you do a YouTube video and you've got an opt-in on your list, you don't send them to YouTube to see your video. You send them to a landing page on your own website to see the video, embed it in show notes. Now, why is this important? Well, remember, one of the mistakes is that these platforms don't want people to leave the platform. So once that person gets to YouTube, there's all kinds of other stuff to look at. Maybe it's stuff cooler than what you were looking at, and maybe it distracts them from them trying to solve a specific problem. So if you send them to your own web page, you're able to keep them in kind of a little more sheltered environment. They can focus specifically on your video. Then you can have in the show notes a call to action for them to take the next step. Another factor is if you send them from your email list to your own website, you can have your code tracking working. So your UTM codes that are on links, if you don't know what these are, we should sit down for a discovery call because these are magical when it comes to knowing where your customers are coming from and where your leads are coming from. But if you send them from your email list to your content on the website, you can code that interaction to know whether or not that influences a conversion activity. And so you're going to have much better analytics. You send them off to YouTube, you send them off to Rumble, you send them off to someplace else, you don't know whether they ever come back, and they may never come back. But again, if you send them to your media, you'll be able to track things. You'll be able to drill down. Another factor here too is that if you send them to someone else's platform, so you've got your email list, you've got your email message talking about a new piece of content, and you send them to somebody else's platform, that other platform gets to put ads in front of them, and that other platform gets to offer things. And a smart competitor is going to be targeting that platform so that when they get over there, they're going to get offers for something that's competitive with you rather than starting to do business with you over anybody else who's available. Does this make sense to you? Are you understanding what I'm saying and how important it is to know how these ecosystems work, to build contextual funnels, topical funnels, and that's why we have the topic testing method, so you know which topics test and create leads, which topics test and create sales, and then we have that prospect present close in your content. Rather than writing content, you're writing copy that takes the visitor to the next step. It could be an embedded video with an AIDA ad underneath it. That's a whole different opportunity, what a lot of people are doing. A lot of people are transcribing the videos and all this stuff. You could get there eventually, but we want to at least show that visitor what's the next step. So they watch the video, we track whether they're watching the whole video, and then we got them going to the next step, which could be to opt in. Once they've opted in, you give them some more information to move them towards a sale. Now, this is a lot different than what they're teaching out there because you can do this without fancy tools. You can do this without any fancy software or services. And when it comes to writing copy, you're going to work with different people. You're just not going to write content and throw it up on the website. No matter how good your keywords are, traffic is not sales. You want copy. You want copy that converts visitors into leads, leads into customers, and customers into long-term relationships. I'm Justin Hitt with Ad Briefing's Copywriting Tips, and this has been about something that is very misunderstood and very often ignored. So I'd love to hear your comments. You can visit www.adbriefings.co.uk. You can go to the contact page and ask your question. You can also on this platform or any other platform that this audio is on, you can certainly say something, but you can visit www.adbriefings.co.uk. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear your experience, because what we're doing is helping you communicate better, help you connect with buyers, and ultimately improve your business opportunities to go from copywriter, freelance copywriter, to marketing agency, or from executive to owner, because you essentially can communicate in a persuasive way using words that sell.